Hi, this is my review of Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas, the Oasis class mega ship, and I'm going to go through the good and a little bit of the bad. So, in the same manner as other reviews I've done in the past, we're going to go through a number of different things here. We're going to start with the itinerary, then we're going to go onto the ship, then the cabin, then the food and drink, then the entertainment, and then we're going to go through the good and a little bit of the bad. So in terms of itinerary, we actually have done this itinerary twice now. This is the first time we did this. So we sailed from Port Canaveral in Florida, which is a huge cruise port for Royal Caribbean, if you don't know. We sailed from there over to Labadee in Haiti, Falmouth, Jamaica. We went to Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which is Royal Caribbean's private island. And then we went over to Nassau in the Bahamas, and then back to Orlando. And we've loved this route. As I said, we've done it twice. The last time we did it was in November 2024, and I think we like it because it contains two of Royal Caribbean's exclusive spaces, so Perfect Day at Coco Cay and Labadee, which is a peninsula off of the corner of Haiti, but it's also dedicated entirely just to Royal Caribbean and Royal Caribbean ships. The other ports are also lovely. The Caribbean, particularly the time of year we were there, was perfect as well. It was warm and hot and dry and wasn't too humid. So yeah, definitely a great route, and I'd recommend if you want a lot of sea and sun and relaxation, this is the perfect itinerary for it. So just some stats just to give you an idea of how colossal this ship is. So as I mentioned, this is an Oasis class ship, which is, or was, the biggest ship in the world, or the biggest fleet of ships in the world. It's now been overtaken by the Icon of the Seas. It's still a big ship, let me tell you. So this ship was built in 2016. It's 226,000 tons in gross weight tonnage, which is the standard metric that you use to compare ship sizes. Now this ship has 16 decks on it, and it can take nearly 7,000 passengers. So it's absolutely massive. To give you an idea of the sort of amenities on board, you've got Central Park, which is a small park inside the middle of the space. You've got ice skating rinks, you've got flow rider, surf machines, you've got multiple restaurants, dozens of them, dozens of bars. You've got a huge promenade space, the size of a small mall. The place is just colossal. So we booked a junior suite on the ship. So as I mentioned, the ship was built in 2016, so it's actually a relatively modern ship in terms of Royal Caribbean standards. What that means is that the rooms tend to be relatively modern, so the carpets are kind of like a neutral grey colour. It's kind of dark wood kind of effect everywhere, and everything's kind of, nice and clean and fresh and modern. And junior suites on Royal, if you've not done one, essentially they're a bit like a balcony room. Just imagine two of them snapped together. They're extra wide in space. You get an extra large balcony. You get a bathroom, normally with a small bath. It's not a full-size bath. And you get a walk-in wardrobe, which is quite nice to store stuff. So the room isn't really what I'd consider a suite. If you look at one of our other videos here, you'll see we've done a grand suite on board Voyager of the Seas, one of Royal Caribbean's older ships. The grand suites on their ships are very similar in terms of across the fleet, so it's a similar setup, basically, just slightly more modern on the Harmony. You get more space on the grand suite, but that's really where a lot of the suite level benefits kick in. In a junior suite, you don't really get very much. You get extra points in the Crown and Anchor Society. You get, I think, limited access to the Coastal Kitchen, which is their designated suite restaurant. And otherwise, you think you get priority embarkation, but you don't really get much more than that. So it's worth bearing that in mind. If you're not, specifically chasing status with the cruise line, you would want to look at a higher level than a junior suite. But it was a lovely room, plenty of space, exactly what we wanted it for. And again, this was just coming out of COVID, so price-wise, it was pretty good. So in terms of dining options, you're not going to run out of ideas here. There are loads to choose from. You've got Johnny Rockets, Windjammer Buffet, main dining room, 150 Central Park. You've got Azumi Hibachi, I think Sabor, which is a Mexican restaurant in there as well. You've got Wonderland, which we've covered off in other videos that you would have seen on the Anthem and on Odyssey. So there are loads to choose from. In terms of the ones we went to, we purchased the unlimited dining package. So actually, we made use of that quite a lot. We went to Izumi a few times, so we went both on the hibachi side where they do live performances, like in Benihana in America, and then we also did the Japanese sushi side as well. We did 150 Central Park a couple of times. That's also a really cool kind of modern, kind of pan-European kind of food. We had things like lamb Wellington in there. They do crafted cocktails. It's a really pretty venue. It's in a really nice part of the ship, I think, which is just off of the park. So when you walk out, you've got, normally nice, subdued, like live music playing outside as well. And then next to that, you've got Chopped Grill, which is also a lovely space. And again, you get really great steaks there. And it's a great place if you want to get dressed up on the formal nights, which is great. So then in terms of bars, Dazzles, we always loved. It's like a live venue. It's upstairs and it overlooks the boardwalk, which is the area at the back of the ship where you've got the carousel and the back of the ship where you can oversee the water. That's a really nice space, and they do lots of live band performances in there as well. The floating bar, which takes you from Central Park down into the promenade, is a nice space. It's also a bit of an excuse to kill 20 minutes if you are wanting to do that. It takes that long to descend between the floors, but they have they have a bar on board, which is cool. And then you've got a lovely bar inside Central Park as well, which again is really nice to sit around and watch the world go by around you. And then Boleros, which is always another venue that we like, where you've got a bit of activity, you've got live Latin music playing, which is also great. So those are a few of ours. There are so many on this ship to look into, and those are the ones that we loved. So all really good. So now we're on to the good and the bad. And I'll be pleased to say I've got mainly good things to say and just one bad thing. So in terms of the good thing, I would say that I think that the ship is lovely. It's massive. So if you've not done an Oasis class ship or bigger before, I would take that into account when you're looking at ships, particularly if it's your first one. It can be quite overwhelming going on an Oasis class ship just for the sheer size of it and the amount of people you've got. I think Royal Caribbean doing a really good job of dispersing people across the ship so that it doesn't feel like you've got any particular choke points. Things like the boardwalk and the Central Park are very well crafted so that you don't have these, single routes to kind of bypass your way around. They're very wide and open. The promenade is the same as well. It's a very wide space, so you don't have to worry about feeling like you're being squeezed into a small space, which is great. So the ship, from my side, is a 10 out of 10. I think it's a lovely ship. The only thing, as I said, you need to just think about is the size. If you're not wild about, seeing thousands of people on a ship, you might want to just consider that as a factor. The food was really good on the ship as well. I would say my favourite restaurant on board is 150 Central Park, and I would definitely go back and recommend it. The food there is just ever so slightly different from what you'd expect from other places. It's slightly different, but it's also very sophisticated inside. It's got really nice kind of decor in it, and it's very quiet as a space. They give you really personal service in there as well, so highly recommend it. You can buy a la carte, but we had an ultimate dining package, so it was included as part of that cost. Entertainment's good. Dazzles is my favourite space on Oasis class ships. So we've done the Allure a couple of times, and we've done this ship. So every time we've done those two ships, we have found that the Dazzles is a really cool space to go to. One thing this ship has, in addition to the Allure, is it has a nightclub on board, which might not be your cup of tea, but it's quite nice, just even if it's just once on the cruise, to go to that space in the evening. And it was down, I think, by the Comedy Club, so that's pretty cool as well. It's quite a lot of fun just to have one night to kind of properly let your hair down. Then in terms of the spaces, the locations, I know it's not necessarily linked to the cruise itself, but I really do like Coco Cay. I think it's a really nice space, and I think Royal Caribbean have done a really good job of it. The food in Coco Cay, I'm talking free complimentary food as part of your fare package on the cruise, is included, and it's good quality food. We've been there twice now, and it's really good. If you have a drinks package, it also it can be used on the land as well, and you've got loads of free seating. It's just a really nice, I think, day out, in the Bahamas, basically. And then you've got the other port, which is Nassau. Now, I think it's a bit of a mixed review for a lot of people, but the scenery there was just stunning. It's one I actually use as my backdrop now on my computer. It's just crystal clear water. I know that queues are really bad, lines are really bad there. You get a lot of ships all docking at the same time. But yeah, from a visual perspective, it was just stunning. And then in terms of negatives, as I said, there's only one I can think of, and that is the unlimited dining package. So the restaurants, all the elective restaurants that you pay for, are all great, and we did them all a lot. But one thing to remember here is that the menu every night is exactly the same. So if you don't want to get bored with the paid for dining, just keep that in mind as a thing. You might want to try other places as well, like Giovanni's, which is an Italian place. There are a few other places to try. But for us, we just found it was a little bit repetitive. The food also in Izumi and 150 Central Park and Chops Grill is exactly the same on every Royal Caribbean ship across the fleet all the time. So if you go from ship to ship, you're going to find it's the same meal. Now, it doesn't matter too much, but it's just worth thinking about if you are planning on buying a 5-night dining package or the unlimited one. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. But otherwise, great cruise, great ship. I wouldn't probably recommend it as your first cruise, just due to the size of it. But otherwise, yeah, brilliant cruise. Thanks again for watching my content. I hope you enjoy it. Please do leave me a comment. I really do appreciate them, and I am actually actively using them to improve my content going forwards. So please do feel free to do so. Otherwise, thanks, and watch for the next content coming up.